so that when you guys are doing your day-to-day and you have something that's like, oh man, the customer needs this, do not get stuck in fulfillment. That is the number one way to die as a small business. Don't get stuck in fulfillment. So what you should be doing is you should take those emails, have the VA address it. If they can't address it, send it to one of your ops people. And if they can't help you, then you actually have to do it yourself. Welcome back to the Prospecting Show, where each week we talk about tips, tricks, and methods for growing an amazing small business pipeline. I'm your host, Dr. Connor Robertson, and on this podcast, you can expect segments on communication, sales, prospecting, and closing. Thank you to everyone who has supported my 100 episodes and 100 days goal going into 2020. Enjoy the show. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Prospecting Show. Today we are going to be talking about virtual assistants. And this is kind of backed by popular demand. I've had a few people recently reach out and say, okay, well, how can I actually use a VA? What's the VA for? What are they doing? Where do you think it's going to be best in our business? How can we expand? When do you hire? How do you train? All these different questions about the virtual assistant process. So today we're going to break this down 6 parts. We're going to talk about emails, CRM management, data entry, LinkedIn lead generation, which is going to be for your B2B businesses out there, direct messaging, and then billing and QuickBooks type items. So to start, emails. One of the biggest things, one of the best things I've done recently is I've split off emails into different categories. I have our Syntax email address, and we have different groups where it's support, sales, management, all these different subdomains or sub emails within the email system. And the reason I do that is so that when a customer needs something, what they do is they actually send an email to that address, and that way I can look at it and my VA can look at it at the same time. If it's something that I absolutely need to take care of, I will. If it's something that the VA can do, they will do it for me and let me know that it is done. So make those kind of front-end email addresses like support@companyname.com so that when you guys are doing your day-to-day and you have something that's like, oh man, the customer needs this, do not get stuck in fulfillment. That is the number one way to die as a small business. Don't get stuck in fulfillment. So what you should be doing is you should take those emails, have the VA address it. If they can't address it, send it to one of your ops people. And if they can't help you, then you actually have to do it yourself. Segmenting right into CRM management. Most people use CRMs. We use Zoho One, which is a subscription suite software. But the big thing is our leads that come in, we make sure that our VAs are always manipulating that data in a way that makes sense. So if we need a trigger, a workflow, a spelling mistake, a phone number's wrong, whatever it is, they can go in there and they can make that change. And because we're using Zoho, they can be logged in anywhere in the world, and we just whitelist an IP address so that they can be super productive. And that way I'm not sitting there moving data around all day, which is like the fastest way to really kill your time, is just moving data back and forth to make sure it looks good. Outside the CRM, there's also opportunities for data entry. So our VAs will also build lists in Excel or Google Sheets, and they'll go through that whole thing and say, what is it that you need us to find? First name, last name, phone number, email, LinkedIn profile, whatever it is. Go all the way out, find all the data about the prospects we're going to talk to or potential vendors, whatever it is, data entry. And they can do that over and over and over again, thousands of rows per day. Some of the VAs will actually do up to 3,000 touch points per day, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's probably on a 10 to 12 hour day, but nonetheless, data entry is super, super key. If you are in the B2B space, most of your prospecting is probably going to be done on the phone, email, and on LinkedIn. So if you have a LinkedIn account and you have Sales Navigator, maybe even if you don't have it, but it doesn't really matter. If you have an account that's well aged or well seasoned, meaning that's been around for 5 years or more, have the VA log in from a remote location, whitelist their IP, send the 2-factor authentication code so they can use your account, and have them send out messages every single day. The number one thing you can do in your business on the sales pipeline is keep it full. The way you keep it full is persistence. Every single day, all the time, messages are going out. There's no exceptions, no Saturdays off, no Sundays off, no holidays off, nothing. Always be sending messages. Prospect, prospect, prospect. As Ravi Abuvala says, he says, set appointments, take appointments. Set appointments, take appointments. That's all you should do once you get to that position where your operations are fully taken care of. That said, make sure that the activity that's happening in your account is one, kosher, and two, is not going to get you shut down. So if there's a specific space you're in, maybe you're in CBD, or maybe you're in some other kind of fringe medical component, areas, make sure that the content that you're actually sending out is super compliant. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get fucked and basically have your account shut down. Because if you have a seasoned LinkedIn account, it's going to be a huge problem for you when that actually gets shut down because your virtual assistant didn't do all the proper steps that I'm talking about. Number 5 here, direct messaging. Direct messaging can be on Instagram, Facebook, could be part of LinkedIn as well, but this could be the consumer focus. If you have a product that's consumer, not just B2B, have them use these other platforms. They are super useful, they're very effective, and they cost nothing. You can send out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages on Instagram every day. Have the VA change the script a little bit. Have 5 or 6 different messages you want to have sent out. Don't just copy paste, because that's not going to work. You got to get strategic, right? You got to have a method behind the messages you're sending. So with the VA, kind of show them, do this search, these kind of people, this kind of message, and then they can have another example where it's a different kind of search with different kind of people and different methods. That kind of direct outreach is going to go so much further than you think, as long as you have the VA being consistent every single day and showing up. The best part about hiring in the Philippines and India, but really the Philippines, is that one, they're 12 hours ahead. So if you get 2 of them, you can have 24/7 basically outreach if that's important to you. Or maybe you do all of your outreach during the day, so 7 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern, and then from 7 p.m. Eastern to 7 a.m. Eastern, which is pretty much their local morning time because of the 12-hour difference, they could be doing all the operational stuff for you. So get them to do it. They're super dedicated. Their cost is anywhere from $3 to $4, sometimes even less, but that's a really good rate for them in the Philippines. And they're very happy and dedicated to do 40 hours or more per week, so don't feel like you're being held back. Always push out the VA, get your first one on lead generation. Once you're full, get the next one on operations. Once you're full again, go for the third one on operations probably. So because you're going to have it's easier to close a deal and have the pipeline management. If you have a big fulfillment process because you're a service company, not a product company, you're going to need more virtual assistants or maybe even more domestic US labor to be able to support that fulfillment. So you might have to go a 1-to-2 ratio of sales to operations, even though in a lot of other organizations, it's the other way around. If you're a small business starting out and you kind of have the laptop lifestyle, make sure you have enough people for operations. The worst thing is dropping clients all the time. Don't get sucked into managing all the clients. Have the virtual assistants do that, and then do a phone call every week or every 2 weeks with them, or send the clients an email. The last piece I would give is make sure when you're managing clients, do not make it a phone call. Do use email, use Slack, use text message, and any other method you can, so that you can, 1, have your VAs help send that out, and 2, also have it so that you're not stuck talking to them all the time, because a 15-minute call turns into 30 minutes, and then you can only do 16 of those a day, and your 8-hour day is gone. Not to say that you're only working 8 hours, but you know how it is. It kind of gets eaten up quickly. If you have all of those other 5 things taken care of, the last thing is you could do billing. You should be doing recurring billing services. If you have a service that you're selling and it's a recurring monthly service, you should be putting that through QuickBooks and putting that on auto bill. That's the easiest way to do it. But if you're not happy with that, then what should be happening is you should be switching that over and basically having manual transactions occur. Maybe you have a one-time hit where it's a capital equipment sale or something like that, or a product sale, it's one time. Get that filled out. That's no problem at all. But just make sure that the VAs are always keeping up to that. And maybe if they give you a report, like an export of into Excel, or maybe just a QuickBooks report or some other kind of financial report, so you can always see how things are going. But if you take appointments and set appointments, and you basically focus on the front end of what you're doing by getting sales in the door immediately every single day, you're not going to be as worried about the clients that are going to leave. They will leave. No matter what you do, the client that you have in day 1 is very unlikely going to be the client you're going to have on day 3,000. So just make sure that you manage the clients appropriately, leverage the virtual assistants the best you can, spend the time to get the job done properly, and at the end of the day, if you're having difficulty getting everything done, just look and think about your time. What is your time worth? What is the virtual assistant's time worth? And if there's any difference in that, a 1-fold, 2-fold, or 3-fold factor, definitely give that work to the virtual assistant so you are not a dog to your business. Get out, go enjoy your life, go do the things that matter, and don't get stuck in the trap.